What is up, friendly neighborhood nerds? This is Judah Rad.
And I'm Robo Strange.
And today we have returning guest, Alex Paknadel. He's written some of our favorite comics in recent years, including Red Fork, Giga, Immortal Hulk, Time of Monsters, Death of Doctor Strange, Avengers. Whew, guy gets around. Today we're getting the goods on Darkhold Spider-Man. written by Alex, illustrated by Neves, Jim Charlampidis. I apologize if I'm butchering these names. Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. Thanks very much. Just getting my head around. I get around.
Yeah, and we mean that in the best way possible.
The best way.
Oh, yeah. No. But like it's also like geographically inaccurate. You know what I mean? Like I haven't left my house in about 3 months.
Yeah, we'll do it again real quick. This guy metaphorically gets around.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, what can we expect from this Spider-Man tie-in to Darkhold that you have coming out this Wednesday, I believe?
Yep, Wednesday 22nd, just in time for Christmas. Basically, this is a sort of a Lovecraftian horror inflected Marvel event written by Steve Orlando and I believe drawn by Kian Tormey. And it's the conceit is basically that a lot of Marvel heroes have read from the Darkhold, and it's going to kind of turn them into sort of debased, monstrous versions of themselves. And so, like the brief that a load of us were given, including like Geordie Belair, I think like Ryan North, Dan Kibblesmith, people like that. You know, the brief that we were given with the characters that we were given is basically just do a series of one shots that are basically what they've seen when they've read the Darkhold. So you know you've already had like a bunch of these, like the Iron Man one was like super body horror. I think the Wasp one was the Wasp one was really intense. I think that was a really brutal one. My one is and I can't spoil it too much, but I think there are some kind of preview pages online. The conceit of mine is that it's what I thought was I tried to sort of picture a scenario that would break Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So what are all the ingredients that you would have to have in place to shatter his mind? And what I kind of chose was, and it's all kind of what I wanted to do was, because the brief that I was given is like basically make it a Spider-Man horror story. So that's cool. And there have been very noticeable either horror or horrific Torment is the classic one, right? Like one of the best-selling comics of all time. That was that was a Spider-Man horror story. But also like Craven's Last Hunt absolutely has horror elements. Not that what I've done is in any way comparable, but that's what I kind of boned up on to do it. So what I kind of arrived at was that I was kind of thinking of what I wanted to do was, okay, so here's a horror Spider-Man story, but it has to be, I can't just kind of do like a sort of Junji Ito thing with it, right? Like I can't just do like I can't just kind of do a James Herbert story. Like what I got to do is like whatever it is, it has to be kind of baked into whatever makes Spider-Man tick. And I kind of started thinking, and I was like, okay, so what is he? Well, to my mind, he is almost he's the ultimate New Yorker, right? Like he's the one, I would say like he's the one Marvel superhero who like doesn't make sense anywhere else.
Sure.
It has to be New York. And it's not don't get me wrong, like it's the buildings that of course there's the whole kind of issue of swinging like like as soon as you get to Tribeca, like you have to do a bit of running
Right.
Before you kind of get to Midtown. But mainly it's he is the embodiment of rush hour, right? Like he just never stops. There's all like you go right back to the 60s and you get all those kind of thought balloons of like, oh man, like I got to finish fighting the vulture so I can bring Aunt May shopping home. Like he's always too late for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And like one of those plates always drops, right? So what I went with was this idea, and these are all in the preview pages, so like I'm not spoiling anything too monstrous. Is basically this event has happened, you know, off panel, that I just called like the unraveling, right? And basically what's happened is just like New York City has just basically fallen apart. Like the buildings, like the bridges, the infrastructure, and groddily, the people. Like, you know, like their jaws will just fall off, or like, you know, like an ear will just fall off or whatever. And basically what Peter's doing in this story is like you join him, and like I think the splash page and the preview pages, like he's like super skinny and like his costume's all torn and stuff. Because he just like all day and all night, all he does is just web everything back together. Just webs everything back together. So, you know, but you know, as we know, the lifespan of his webbing is finite, right? It's got a 3-hour lifespan, and after that it dissolves. So like all he does, it's like, you know, it's like this kind of vision of hell, this kind of Sisyphean, this sort of Sisyphean task that all he does is just go up and down Manhattan all day, webbing it back together, and then when it dissolves, he webs it back together again.
It's like a nightmare.
So, yeah, like it. But to my mind, you know, that is, it's both a kind of, it's a horror conceit, but to my mind, it's also, and you know, look, of course, man, like it's Spider-Man, right? Everyone has their own Spider-Man, you know. He's the most recognizable superhero on the planet. I'm not saying that my read is like definitive, but to my mind, that's what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man, and that's what makes Spider-Man a New Yorker. And so I just took that and went, okay, let's just push that as far as I possibly can.
Right.
And Marvel didn't push back.
No, that's
Nice.
awesome. So the whole nightmare scenario that each of these characters are kind of like living in, was that hard, or was it easier? Because I mean, you talk to the process, right? And I mean, I'm listening to it, I'm like, wow, there's a lot that goes into that. But would you say that the fact that you have a nightmare scenario and you can be as creative as you want, does that make things harder or easier with that kind of like those wide boundaries?
This is a real kind of politician's answer, and I apologize, but like it's both.
Okay.
But hear me out. Like I think that the reason it's both is because on a conceptual level, it's easier because all you really need to do, and look, I can't speak for any of the other writers who worked on it, but I suspect this is the case. The way, from reading the other one shots, it seems to me that their kind of process was largely the same as mine, which is, okay, who is this person? What makes them what they are, and how can I dial that like up to 11 until it becomes horrific?
Right.
You know, like Iron Man is an intrinsically like horrific idea. Like if you think about it, right? Like, you know, it's a guy who has to wear a suit of armor to kind of function in the world, and who is basically because otherwise he feels completely vulnerable. You know, you can see how you could turn that into a horror conceit real easy. I think you can do that. I mean, you can do that with a lot of sci-fi stuff in general, I think. So yeah, with all that kind of conceptual stuff, it was quite easy. And also, like, I mean, you know, I'm not getting, you know, this isn't too kind of inside baseball, but really, like, I was just, okay, well, like, I'm writing a what if, you know what I mean? Like, I'm writing a what if, and I'm writing a what if where, like, I have a remit to do, like, some really gross stuff.
Right.
So, you know, that side of it is great because you've got a blank canvas, man. Like, you can just go at it. But what's the tricky part, of course, and the weird thing is, because I mean, this only ever happens to me kind of like, this happens to me like on the back end, right? Which is reception, right? So I've written this, and like I've got, you know, I'm really lucky, man. Like I'm working with like Alana Smith and Will Moss, who are just like, you know, fantastic editors, great creative team. Everything's humming along. And then, like, you know, not to put it bluntly, like, you know, I'm right there now, man. Like this week, like I've got the yips because like all of a sudden it's like, man, like there are like hundreds of thousands of Spider-Man fans, right? Like, and and it's only now that I'm like, oh man, like what are they going to make of this? You know what I mean? Like
That's right.
that's the tricky part. Like what happens now? Like you know, is it because this is a character who kind of means something to them, and they're also like, I mean, you know, I don't lurk or anything, but you know, every now and then, you know, you're exposed to kind of online chatter like ambiently. Like as I said, like I don't lurk or anything, but you just pick up on it.
Mm-hmm.
And you do occasionally kind of see stuff like, oh man, like Peter's having a really bad time. Like I really hope this one shot, like, you know, like it all kind of works out. And I'm like,
nope.
no.
Is that kind of why you went with Gwen? Again in the preview pages, but yeah, it was I'm not gonna lie, I was gonna pretend like I always knew, but we went through a process. I was like, Gwen, wait, I don't, what?
Is she back?
Then, yeah, I was like, wait, how much of Spider-Man have I missed? And then I had to like ask one of our super Spider-Man fans in the Discord, and I was like, okay, here are the preview pages, what's going on? And then that's when somebody was like, no, none of this is real. But that, you know, listening to you now, that kind of makes sense. I mean, like Gwen is one of the big failures in his ability when you're talking about dropping the plate. How on the nose is that?
No, like that's what like yeah, 100%. Like that's what I tried to do, man. Like
yeah,
it's basically
that's awesome.
like this one shot is basically like you can almost kind of I hope there are some surprises in there, but like I genuinely think like a lot of people could infer what I've done if they basically just like chronologically arrange every time he like really dropped a plate.
Right.
That's basically like all of those hyper compressed. Like that's pretty much what I've done in just this like nightmarish 24 hours.
Just a gauntlet of failures. Gauntlet of past failures.
Yeah.
So this is I'm gonna kind of pretend that I'm a literary critic when I'm not. But based on what you've said and based on like some of the promotional materials, I get the feeling that the Spider-Man's webs are going to be not just a tool that he uses, but also part of a larger analogy related to like maybe like the web of the mind or something like that. Is that a theme that's gonna sort of be part of this?
Yeah. I would say a web of the mind, webs of interdependence, I think were like a big thing that I was kind of thinking of in terms of, you know, we all occupy webs of interrelationships, right? And when a person is removed, the web is weakened and it changes shape and it distorts. You see where I'm going with this,
right?
Yeah, no, I mean absolutely. It's also like I was thinking about like webs of cause and effect. I mean, there's a line in there. I mean, and again, I mean, this isn't sort of massively spoilerish, and I am paraphrasing it because I don't have it to hand. But where he says something like, you know, every kind of tributary strand in a web is different. You know, you can crawl around it, but you know, ultimately they always lead back to the center. You know, and there's always a predator at the center.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, like yeah. I mean, I really did try to, and also, you know, again, you know, in the preview pages, you know, nothing being given away, but it was just the idea of, you know, the thing, you know, just purely and simply, things, you know, holding things together. And what happens when that material frays and that material breaks, and it's, you know, I mean, so Peter's holding the city together. Who's holding him together?
That's right. That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I like the way you use the time part of it, the 3-hour deal, because I mean that speaks directly to real life. Like you can't, nothing is supposed to hold. You can't hold on to everything forever, right? It's not your job to do that. It's not how we're designed to do that.
Nothing stays fixed. Like no matter what you fix, it never stays fixed. It always has to be like.
I mean, yeah, like entropy, man. Like I mean, exactly. You know, like you know, we just bought a new house and it's great, and you know, we've been living in it now for like a few months, and like we've got like this like lean-to at the back, and it's already like there's like weird like mold deposits that are like splitting the thing apart, and like we have to like and then you kind of go, okay, right, like, you know, we've never owned like a house before, like we've only ever lived in apartments, you know, so we're not responsible for the exterior of the building. This does have a point, I promise, but like, but no, it is just that I think like that was one of the things that I was kind of speaking to. It's just like, yeah, absolutely, like you spin a plate and then you walk away, and it's like, okay, so you know, I've got that plate situation under control, but it's slowing down, and then there's another one over there, you know, it's and that to me like is very much the character essence of Spider-Man. It's always that, isn't it? It's like, and like every time he has a, you know, and this goes right back to kind of, you know, the Lee Ditko Romita days, man. Like it's baked into the kind of the essence of the character, I think, is that like every time he gets a win, you know, he's, you know, across town, he's lost something, you know, he's missed
dinner with Aunt May.
Yeah, absolutely. Like every win is always a loss somewhere, you know,
Right.
like stamping out a lump on a carpet and another one just rises somewhere else, you know.
That's right. So you talked about earlier about the hundreds of thousands, I'd probably argue millions of fans of Spider-Man fans across the globe.
Yeah.
And timing, right? Not so much Christmas, but Spider-Man No Way Home. So what you have is not only a bunch of fans going to go find Spider-Man, but brand new fans who don't read comic books, who walk by their LCS to go look for new Spider-Man books. And you have the new comic book day Spider-Man on the shelves.
You're introducing people to Spider-Man.
Right.
No pressure.
Right. So that's all I wanted to say. That's all I want to say. That was it. No, I'm just kidding. Really, what I was supposed to get to is, have you seen it yet? Have you seen No Way Home?
I haven't.
Okay.
Like, no, full disclosure, and like, sorry to be a bummer, but like, where I live is like Omicron Central.
Got it.
So
like
don't get me wrong. Like, I have no real expectation that I'm not going to get it, because it's like it's just absolutely kind of out of control. But like, you know, look, dude, you know this, like I have a kid. Like I can simultaneously like accept that I'm gonna get this thing, but also I can't like volunteer. Like, you know, like I have a responsibility to not like, you don't have to put your head in the lion's mouth, you know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. Totally makes sense. I have a kid, but I don't care about him. No, I'm just kidding. He's 18 and fully vaccinated.
No, that's it. Like, dude, like I got a 6-year-old, and they won't.
Little one.
They don't vaccinate him over
That's
here.
right. That's right. That sucks. Well, hopefully the apocalypse will end eventually, and just know that when you get a chance to, when it comes out on streaming, completely amazing.
It's amazing.
I'm so unbelievably into it, and
it's gonna be crazy.
But here's the thing: like, have you had this? Sorry, this is again. I probably shouldn't be having this like in the show, it's been spoiled like so badly. Like,
there's
I did the whole thing, man. I was muting stuff left, right, and center, and it still like seeped into my feed. You know what I mean? I was so angry.
Yeah.
I thought I was spoiled, but there were still surprises. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There will be no spoilers. Hopefully nobody's already like turned it off by now. But I no spoilers. No. The way I operate is everything that I end up hearing over time through ScreenRant.com over the last year and a half. Like it's just all these things. I always like just rumors. Like, and who knows, right? There's the one main one that I think it was a rumor, but everybody was kind of like, okay, we know what's going to happen here. But I will say, even with this side gig that Judah and I and Ree have, of talking comic books multiple times a week and talking to creators like yourself, and we have to go sift through news items and stay abreast of this stuff. I watched the movie, and there were things where I was like, oh my god, and there were definitely surprises though. So,
and one thing you can't spoil is execution. Like,
yeah, even when you know what's coming, it's like this was flawless.
Right.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't know it was going to feel quite like this.
Right.
So,
Oh my god.
It's gonna be good.
Man.
It's gonna be good. Yeah, and also just in case you forgot, probably thousands upon tens of thousands of new people, and your book will probably be one of the first ones they read. No big deal. No big deal.
And then 30 years from now, this is gonna be the thing that they credit for making them a tremendous Spider-Man fan.
The movie.
And yeah, like I had no idea that franchise was as messed up as it was. Like I could just because like I saw this really sweet movie, and then I went and bought this comic, and it was super messed up.
And people's faces were falling off. It was weird. I don't know what is Spider-Man.
I just want to bring it back to the good old days of people's faces falling off. What's with all this no face falling off stuff these days?
Yeah.
You know?
I will say this. We'll go ahead and jump forward and say any future plans. So now you've gotten to read. You've gotten to write Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Do you have any pitches in the chamber if you were to write more Spider-Man?
Yeah, absolutely. But like I'm just I'm looking at an email now, and I don't know if you can see the reflection of the screen in my eyes, but I have just had like a pretty big offer to do something. So
I can read it all actually. Enhance.
Yeah.
Enhance. Okay, got it. That's awesome.
So that's good. And I'm working on something else right now that's pretty cool. Oh god, like there's like a bunch of stuff like I can't talk about now, which I didn't have last time. Like last time, like I always like ended these things on a bummer. You were like, so have you got anything else lined up? I'm like, no. But like this time I actually do. Which is nice.
For people who want to stay on top of that, do you have like a website, or should they just follow your Twitter, or
like my Twitter mainly? But like my Twitter is mainly is just bullshit. Like mainly just, like here's some comics I like here's some weird manga. Here's some weird manga I just bought.
And I'm mad at the UK right now, UK government.
A bunch of that stuff. Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Okay. No, I really should but like I do feel like maybe like I was people say, oh, like are you gonna do like a newsletter? And I'm like, I don't feel like I have any like news to letter. You know what I mean? Like I had waffles.
Right. Well, it seems like you do now, right?
Yeah, but like one. You know what I mean? Like I'll do one. But like knowing me, like I'd shoot my shot. I'd be like, I got all this stuff. I wouldn't have like drip feed it or anything.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. So
that's fair.
We follow. We'll put down in the link in the description below links to Alex Paknadel on Twitter. Well, everyone, make sure this Wednesday. I'll make sure this is edited and posted in time. Unlike many other videos I have to do. But this Wednesday is Spider-Man Darkhold by Alex Paknadel, art by Neves and Jim Charlampidis. I think I got it.
Go see Spider-Man No Way Home. Wear a mask.
Yes. If you're vaccinated.
Still wear a mask.
Go check it out. Ladies, gentlemen, and NBs, that is the end of our show. Thank you, Alex Paknadel, for joining us. And we love you all. We already said it, but we'll say it again. Get vaccinated. Get your boosters. It's all real. Keep wearing your mask. And we love you all. We're out of here.
Peace.
If you want to hear interviews from industry pros, get first looks, and have access to endless comic content, wake up. Please wake up. You're in a coma. Your mother misses you.